So yeah, this is the fifth part, and basically I will show now, I will add some more information to these schema files that we are presenting, and I will show how to decorate these schemas to communicate to Nomad that we want to fill specific quantities from Excel file and CSV file. So in this sense, just answering the Sebastian's question, I don't think we can work directly with raw file, because whenever you upload raw files, they will be processed by Nomad, and you will work then with some data file in Nomad. So I don't know if I'm answering the question, but yeah, basically you will never deal or modify directly the CSV or the Excel file in Nomad.
Yeah, but the data is extracted from there. I think that was the point, right, Sebastian,
yes.
that it becomes then
this sounds exactly like the solution we imagined in some way. So we have some CSV, we extract the data, we leave the XLS data to stay on the server, and then sounds very much like what we need.
Yeah, so what is not usually possible is that these raw files, whenever they are uploaded, you can't really modify them in Nomad. So whenever you upload them, they are raw, so they are not changed anymore. So this is the thing, but okay. So this was already prompting to this part. And indeed, the parser that I'm going to show you now is a kind of a general parser that is meant really to crunch every kind of CSV or Excel file, while, as also the question that we received at the beginning, sometimes it can happen that you maybe have some more specific file formats, and then for that you will need to write some code just to parse the specific files that you have. So in this case, the tabular parser is meant to be general for whoever user want to use the CSV or Excel files. Okay, so just navigating again to the GitHub repo here and going to the folder 5 tabular parser, you will find all these files here. So we have an Excel file that is our raw file, and then we have several YAML files. So the ones with starting here are being picked by me, and I will decorate them live in this live session, and they will end up in their correspondent file without starting anymore. So at the end of these 15 minutes, these 3 files will be exactly like these 3 here. And then there is this solution file that is the result of the little exercise that is proposed. So you can just take a look to each of them. Okay, so first of all, from our bottom-up approach, what we found is that there are mainly 2 kinds. So now I opened the same folder into VS Code. And yeah, I was saying that there are mainly 2 kinds of Excel sheet that we can face in the lab. So the first of them is a kind of Excel sheet in which we want to parse one single column as an array into one quantity. So this is one of the kind of uses that we found. Or there is the other way around, in which we are writing data into our Excel file in the sense that we are storing the information row-wise. For example, this one is showing a measurement in which I am writing in the first column my sample ID that I'm measuring, and then all the parameters are stored along the line. This means that every line is a different experiment. So these 2 ways of writing data need 2 different modes of our parser. And this is the reason that you find here column tabular parser or row tabular parser. So these are the 2 modes that I'm going to demonstrate quickly now. And the third one, mixed, is, as you can imagine, just the gathering of the 2 initial modes that is giving us the possibility to have more complex Excel files. So as you see, this one is a single Excel file with 2 sheets, and it can be crunched into Nomad altogether. My example here is having an Excel file, but definitely we can use CSV file also. Okay, so I think we can slowly go to check the first mode that I want to show you. That is the column tabular. So I'm just picking this file, and as we can see, is another example of the files that Hambus already showed, and is a very, very short schema. So I am giving some definitions here, and there is only one section defined that is inheriting from something that doesn't matter now, and it has a list of quantities. So these quantities here are telling us about the data file that we want to upload in Nomad. Indeed, as you can see, I will also show you some metadata of these quantities that is called annotation. So this annotation is giving us some further features in the ELN. In this case, whenever I want to have a data file to drag and drop into my ELN, I have to use exactly these 5 lines here that are giving me the possibility to drag and drop a file there, as I will show you later. So this is a quantity that should always be present whenever we want to parse something from a CSV file, because this is the point where we upload the file. And then we have 3 other simple quantities here that are just based on the column that I already had in the Excel file. As you see here, I also defined the type, the shape, and the unit for each of them. Okay, so let's start now to decorate this file here to have the possibility then to upload it in Nomad and to upload also the Excel file afterwards, and to have all this data from the Excel file parsed into Nomad directly. Okay, the first thing that I need to do is to inherit some other kind of section that is in Nomad. So this is the tabular parse. This is the section giving the tabular parser feature. So it must be added in the base sections here. So it's we are now having a multiple inheritance here of 2 things. So this must be always present. Then we can go on, and what we need here will be we need some annotations coming from this tabular parser, and we need to decorate each quantity with these annotations. So let's start with the data file. So the data file, and this thing that I'm copy pasting, I repeat again, you can find already written in this other file here, that is column tabular parser.schema.archive. Okay, so the first annotation that I am adding to this file is the one of the data file. It is called tabular parser, and is giving me some information on the file that I am going to upload. So as I wrote here, so the separation attribute is only needed for CSV file. For the Excel file is not needed. Then we have comment, and this is meant to allow us the possibility to have comment line in our Excel file. So whenever a line will start with this character that we indicate here, it will be read as a comment, so skipped. And the last one is the mode. So here I am indicating that I want to parse this data file here in column mode. And so yeah, just copying every single column as an array in each quantity. So the array information is given by this attribute here, shape. As you see, this is the syntax that we use in Nomad to communicate that the shape is of arbitrary length. Okay, so we decorated already the first quantity. We can go to decorate also the other quantities. As you see, the first one already had an M annotation section because there were already browser and ELN, while these other are without M annotation section. So we will add it from scratch. And the annotation here is just called tabular. And the only attribute that we need is just the name of the column header that we want to parse. As you can see, the column header here has got the sheet name, that is column data in this case, and then / and the name of the column. Let's check again the file. So as you see, the sheet here is column data, and the column header is process time. So this is the path that I have to insert here to communicate that I want to parse into this quantity exactly this column. So I will do the same for the other 2 quantities that I have here, clearly using the same sheet name, but the other columns name that you can find into the Excel file. So this one is measured temperature, and this other one is set temperature. Okay, so now we decorated everything, and this is already a schema ready to be parsed into Nomad and together to the Excel file. Another thing that I want to add, So other kind of annotations that I want to add are the plotting annotation. Indeed, into the schema, we can automatically set a default plot feature that will allow the data to be visualized as soon as it is parsed into NOMAD. So at the level of the section here, so here I am exploiting the visual editor, so I'm just closing. So together to these sections here, I will add another one that is called again annotation. As I said, at the level of the section. And this annotation will contain an attribute that is called plot. So I already added here a plot, and I will not explain now the exact syntax of this, but if you go to check the README file into this folder, you will see 3 links at the end of the file, and one of them is telling you all the plot, let's say, syntax that we use. So you can go and look there in detail. Okay, so this kind of plot that I showed here will be shown at the level of the section because I added it, as you can see from the hierarchy, I added it into the section. There is another place where I can put my plot that is not into the section, but into the single quantity. So I will try to add now also a plot here, and I will append to my annotations here also the plot annotation. So here we go. We have the plot annotation that has got a label, an X and a Y. Okay, so our file is now ready and we can try to drag and drop it into NOMAD. So I will move this away for a second and I will take NOMAD. Okay, in the meanwhile, you can see that the shared upload created by Florian at the beginning here is being filled because also Hampus added something. So it's just something happening live. And indeed, now I can click here to choose my file, and I will go to choose my column tabular parser archive YAML file. After choosing this, it will be processed by NOMAD. Here is, so it's successful, the processing, and now the schema is into NOMAD. What I can do now? Now I can create out of this schema a template. How do I create a template? Clicking create entry. So I can give a name that will be column, and I can navigate in the schemas available in NOMAD. So I will go into my custom schemas that are the one that I upload, and I will choose the available schemas. So I can see this is the one that I just uploaded. So I had my name here that I can recognize, and yeah, it's contained in the current upload. That is my first upload. So I will choose this one, and inside I only have one column, one section that I defined. So there is no ambiguity. I can choose this one. And you can see that it is appearing here. So the name of the YAML file, and then hashtag and the name of the section that I defined. So this means that I will create a template, so an entry having this structure. Okay, I can go on and create it. Let's see how it looks like. So my process column is the name that I gave, and I have several quantities here that are actually inherited from that base section line that I showed you before. Also, this rich text edit quantity here, it's inherited from the thing that I choose. And here we have the quantities that I just defined. Okay, so this is the data file quantity also that I defined myself into the schema. And as you can see, the annotation browser and the other one are giving us this little cloud here that is triggering us to choose a file. So I can choose my Excel file, I can open it, it will appear here. And I can then go here, and when I press save, all the columns from the Excel file will automatically be graphed here. So as we see, all the 3 vectors were filled, and yes, also the plot is automatically shown, and because I asked into this plot in the section to show 2 quantities. So I will have the set temperature and the measured temperature. And the other plot that I introduced into the schema was at the quantity level. So going into the single quantity here will let me see also the plot that I added into the single quantity. So we have all these possibilities here. And this is the array that was parsed, and also some unit is attached. And this is the shape also that I gave to the array. So the column mode was correctly parsed, and this is how it is looking like at the end. So we can maybe go to the next mode. And for this, I will need to come back to our VS Code editor, and I will take the raw mode. Okay, let's see how much time do I have. Okay, so in the last few minutes, I will just quickly show you this raw mode and what changes here. As you see in this file, I already have the annotations for the tabular parser. What changes here is that the mode is not anymore column, but is row. And whenever I use a row mode, I also need this other attribute that is just telling me which subsection I am going to fill in this row mode. So as you can imagine, in the first case of column, I just can fill fill single quantities here, and so every of them can be in one section. While when being in the row mode, I face slightly a different situation, because each of these is actually one standalone section. So I will have many instances of one same section. That's why the row mode is slightly different, and I need to indicate which is the subsection that I'm going to fill. Also, a very important part of this is that we need to add this repeats through line whenever I want to have multiple instances of this section. In this case, I want to have multiple instances because, as I said, each line will be one subsection. Okay, so as you see here, there are other quantities, and there are also already some annotations. These annotations were the ones already shown by Hampus, so it's giving me the possibility to modify these quantities within the ELN. And yes, so I will need to add here also the tabular quantity. So I will not add it as it is already here, and we can go to quickly check. So as you see, there is the table data inheritance giving me the parsing capabilities, and then the row, and then every single quantity also gets a tabular annotation. Okay, so this is ready to be parsed. There is nothing more. As you see, it's also a pretty simple kind of file. So let's go here to upload. Yeah, I will choose the raw tabular file, and I will open it, and I will check that it is successfully parsed. So raw tabular parser, as we can understand from the name that we gave at the second line of the YAML file. And we will repeat the same operation of creating a template. This template will need a name, and then we have to choose our own schema that will be, in this case, not anymore column, but row. So this also appeared here, and we can choose the only section living in that file, and we can create the entry. After creating the entry, we will face almost the same situation of before. So there are some quantities that we don't know where they come from because they are inherited from some other existing section. And we have our, in this case, empty subsection. It's not anymore a list of quantities, but it's just a subsection. Okay, let's go to upload the file, and I will upload again the same Excel file, but in this other place. And when I will save, we can see that this section will become populated. So from gray, it became black. And there is also this arrow here that I can push, and I can see all the instances that were found into the file. So in this case, as I said, each line will become an instance. So the repeats through line that I showed you before is allowing me to have multiple instances, and is also allowing us to have this plus button here persistent. So this means that if I want to instantiate more instances of this section, I can do that, and I can keep doing that. So if I need maybe to write my one new measurement directly into my ELN, it will be possible. Yes, so my sample ID here, as you see, as I filled it, it also changed the sequential number here. So I can also try again. And yeah, So this was also successfully parsed. Okay, so there are only 10 minutes left now in this part. I think that I already gave you a lot of information. I just want to leave you with one last thing, that is actually the mixed mode. And I just want to tell you about this because this is the, let's say, a case more close to the real one. So as you see in this file, I just collected the first two sections that I defined beforehand, so the column and the row, and I added a third one. So this third one is simply gathering together the first two. How did I gather them together? I added one quantity, that is the data file, because we still need to upload the data file, and we don't want to upload it twice in each of these previous sections. So that's why we use this. And indeed, as you can see, the mode now is neither column nor nor row, but is root. And this is because the data file here will be just the place where to upload it, and it will be then linked to the other two data files existing in this section. Let's go to check the data file here. And there is a new important attribute that is default. So this is here because we want to communicate that this quantity here should be filled with the data file that we placed into the root level. So I'm sorry if I'm giving all this information, but maybe when you go across it again, it will be more clear, and actually is the key to use this parser. Okay. What do I get here? So I have two subsections that I defined with my new names, and I am inheriting the two sections that I defined beforehand that are in this same file. So this is a line for inheriting one of them and the other. Okay, so let me quickly go also to upload this one, so we can see also the mixed mode in action. Mixed mode. I can choose this file, and this is already what you can also try in the future. So you just upload this mixed mode file, and everything should be already working, and then you can create an entry. So your entry will have your own name, and then you will choose a custom schema that is exactly the one living into the mixed tabular parser file. In this case, we see three sections, not one, because I defined three sections into it. And we want to choose the one that is my overall process, because this is the one containing all the others. So I create it. I have now my instance, and I will once again upload here the Excel file. Okay. And as we can see here, these two sections will be filled on pressing save. So they are filled. Let's go to check them, and we will clearly see the same thing that we saw in the column and row mode beforehand. As you see here, the data file quantity inside the column was not filled manually by us. It was just linked because we just filled it once in the root level here. But this is very useful to crunch more complex tabular files. Okay, so I think it was almost everything about this very general kind of parser that can be used in a very broad way for every CSV or Excel file. So thank you again for the attention, and yeah, I hope you will exploit this example, this blueprint that we leave here.